So we want to give you some mental nourishment, some financial nourishment, hopefully that'll feed you in some way, shape, form, fashion. But anyway, we are Mr.
and Mrs.
Smith coming to you live lunchtime, whatever time it is, your time. This is mental food on the economic level. And what we're talking about is two jobs. People who have a job and a job and a half, a job plus one. So we want you to understand what goes into having two jobs. And ask yourself along this journey, is it really worth having two jobs? Share this with somebody who has two jobs and no time to themselves.
Exactly. We are feeding you lunch, and we will send your invoice in a little bit, all right? Give us some thumbs and some hearts. We're going to get the camera turned around, and we are going to break this thing all the way down, all right? Give us a second. All right. Here we go. All right. Two jobs are for two people. We're going to break this thing all the way down. As you can see, we put a lot of thought into this. Not really. I mean, these are real life scenarios, y'all. Believe it or not, some of y'all know me, some of y'all don't. I once worked two jobs. I know. Go figure. I worked two jobs. Actually, when I met my lovely husband, I was working two jobs, all right? I was working two jobs and going to school, paying for it out of pocket, all right? So I know very well what it's like to work two jobs. I'm just so grateful that at that time, I did not have any children, all right? So let's go ahead and let's dive in, all right? So job number one is where we're going to start, okay? Typically with job number one, that's people's full-time job, all right? So a full-time job, what is that? At least 40 hours a week is what you're working, all right? When you get a part-time job, which is job number two, typically you're not working two full-time jobs. You're working a full-time job and a part-time job. So your part-time job is typically anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week, okay? So we're going to just get all the way technical. On your full-time job, okay, you're typically there 8 to 9 hours, so you get a lunch break, right? On your lunch break, you guys, if you are not packing your lunch and preparing your meal, meal prepping, you're going to spend anywhere minimum $8 to $15 per day on lunch. $8 to $15, and I'm being nice. So that's anywhere from $40 to $75 per week just on food. You got anything you want to add, Marcus?
No, this is good. Just understand, these are numbers that really people are spending. $8 is easy to spend on lunch. You do the math, the 8 times 5 days a week. We're just talking 5 days a week. We're not even including the expenses you have on the weekend. But exactly. 8 times 5 give you the 40, 15 times 5 give you the 75. Proceed.
Right. So now, on your part-time job, all right, because that's going to be after you've put in your 8 to 9 hours on job number one, you have what I call a dinner break. All right. So your dinner break, again, if you didn't pack your lunch or prepare, that's another $8 to $15 per day that you're spending on a meal. So that's another $40 to $75 per week just on food. Okay. So here's the thing. On average, people are driving anywhere from 15 to 20 miles. That's the distance that they're traveling to work from their job. From their home. Okay. 15 to 20 miles. Let's say your car gets 15 miles per gallon. I know some of y'all are looking like these people are crazy, breaking down all of these numbers. 15 miles per gallon.
And we know certain cars get more, but we just want to paint a picture that is realistic. So 15 miles per gallon. Talk to them, Queen.
15 miles per gallon. Let's say that your car holds a total of 16 gallons, all right? And we're just throwing some numbers out here. That's literally 2 gallons per day that you're driving. 15 miles from home to work, and then 15 miles back, or you're driving to job number 2. And job number 2, let's say it's about 10 miles from job number 1. Use these same numbers. You're only getting 15 miles per gallon. So every single week, guess what that means? Empty tank.
Weekly.
Empty tank weekly.
And Queen Pierre said something very instrumental. She said, not in Chicago or Atlanta, that mileage is no joke. So we downplaying it with 15 miles. Bigger cities have bigger freeways.
Exactly.
Bigger freeways equal more mileage. More mileage equals less gas. Empty tank weekly turns into empty tank every 2 days.
Exactly. And you know, it's so funny because I have a sister who just recently, and she kept hearing me say, 2 jobs are for 2 people. 2 jobs are for 2 people. She never understood what that meant, but she needed more income. So she went out and she got another job. And guess what? These things hit her. She was packing her lunch every day. So that was saving her money on both jobs. But the gas was killing her. The gas was killing her, driving from home to job number 1 to job number 2. You're dropping your kids off in the morning. If you don't have anybody to pick them up, you got to run, pick them up, drop them off before you go to job number 2. So again, we are being extremely, extremely modest when we're hitting you with these numbers. Then you got to think about our favorite 2 little people in the world, our kids. All right? Let's think about your kids just for a second, you guys. And we understand, single parents, I know some of you are feeling like, well, I just got to do what I got to do. I get that mentality. However, there are other ways for you to bring more money into your household without working yourself raggedy and without being away from your kids. Let's say you work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And let's say that your kids are old enough to be in school. Let's say they're in elementary school. They're in school from 8 a.m. to about 2:30, 3 o'clock p.m. Now, I just want you to think about that. In order for them to be at school at 8 a.m. and for you to be at work at 9 a.m., you got to drop them off. We didn't factor that in here. We didn't factor that into the driving that you're doing. Again, empty tank every single week, all right? They're in school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You're still at work, so you can't even pick them up from school. You have to arrange some type of ride or do aftercare. But let's not forget about job number 2, okay? Job number 2, let's say as soon as you get off from 9 a.m., on your 9 to 5, you work your second job from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is all about the kids. This section right here is all about your children. Now, I don't know about y'all, but we hear people say all the time that our children are our wives, right? They're our wives, this and this and that. How can they possibly mean that much to you if you're spending this much time away from them?
Talk to them, Queen.
They mean that much to you that you're spending this much time away from them. This is what it looks like when you're working a 9 to 5 and a 6 to 10. They eat dinner. They do homework. They prepare for bed without you. In all caps. Without you. And guess what? When you make it home after getting off at 10 p.m., depending on how old they are especially, they better be asleep. They will be asleep when you make it home. Okay, why would we put ourselves through all of this? Again, we got some people out there saying, well, I got to do what I got to do. How else will I get income? You guys, working yourself crazy is not the solution. You can very well have a full-time job and a part-time business, saving all of this money, cutting back the expenses on driving from your first job to your second, spending time with your kids, and still making money. Here's the sad part. On this full-time job, let's say you're making $50,000.
So, $50,000 you're making from this full-time job. Now, let me just backtrack a little bit since we were talking about kids and the time away from them. See, this is what the thing, that I've noticed the most. A lot of times people have mixed up the priorities as it relates to time and money. They feel like they're doing certain things for their kids, but in all actuality, what's more important, time or money? You see, time is priceless. Money has a price tag associated with it, hence the fact that it's money. So if you miss away having time with your kids, then you robbed yourself of an experience, or you robbed them of a certain amount of time. So did you truly raise your kids, or did the system, or did the schools, or did somebody else who's helping you out raise your kids? So don't deprive yourself and feel like you're getting a raise and pay by having multiple jobs. But what you really did was took a pay cut in parenting. So this is what you really have to understand. You took a pay cut in parenting while trying to give yourself a raise in income, but you're doing it for your kids, and time is how they spell love. They spell it with T-I-M-E. So you got to position yourself to stop trading time for money, because they can never pay you what you're really worth, because your time is worth way more than any price tag they can associate with it. But that's a whole nother video. So let's proceed. I just wanted to hit on that point as it relates to kids. Now let's talk about this full-time job. On average, we just say that somebody makes gross $50,000 a year. Now, keep in mind, gross is what you made overall before taxes. But when you look at what you took home after the gross, it's usually grosser, which means that it doesn't look as good as that $50,000 because taxes hit it, and now it's less money than what you actually worked for. So on average, we'll just say $18,000 that you lost in taxes, which equates to your net income being $32,000. Mind you, you feel like you make $50,000 a year because that's what it says on your W-2 when they mail it out to you at the end of the year. That's what it says. So you feel as though you make $50,000 a year, but that's not what you brought home. So you're living off 32. So what you do is get a part-time job to try to make up the difference, or make up for the taxes that you're losing. So you're hoping to make $18,000 from your part-time job. Talk to him, Queen.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I was about to get at. I didn't mean to cut you off. But a lot of the times when you look at how much money you're losing in taxes on your full-time job, which is this $18,000, you say to yourself, all right, we play this mental game. We say to ourselves, man, if I was bringing that $18,000 back into my house, I'll be straight. Okay, so what you do is you go and you get this second job in hopes of making $18,000. And let's say that's exactly what this second job is promising you per year, is $18,000. So you on top of the world. You like, yes, $50,000 coming into my household. But not really, because guess what? That $18,000 is going to be taxed.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's subtract. If we go back up, I keep going back up. Subtract that money that you spent on lunch. Even if you do pack your own lunch at least 3 days out of the week, you're still spending something on food, on snacks while you're there. And then that dang on mileage. That mileage, driving to that second job, are you really making $18,000? Minus, what they're taking out in taxes, you guys. So we really want you to see the bigger picture. Or is working a second job really doing for you what you think it's doing for you? I know people with second jobs that are struggling just as bad. And guess what they do? Got the nerves to go out and get a third one. I mean, I don't know what's going on mentally, you guys, but there is a better way. Then let's go ahead and jump to the end of the year. Okay, some more math for you. You made $50,000 gross on your full-time. You made $18,000 gross on your part-time. That's $68,000 for the year. When you get your W-2s at the end of the year, tax time come around, guess what? Even though you didn't take all of this money home, even though you have more expenses, even though you minimize your time with your children, guess what? You land yourself in a higher tax bracket. All because you thought a second job was going to get you where you needed to be financially. Talk to him, babe.
Now, this is what I want you to understand. So you got the second job, and a lot of times people don't factor in taxes. They just automatically absorb or accept the fact that taxes is something that we must pay. So what they do is overlook the fact that taxes is the highest bill that we pay throughout life, which means that that high bill is keeping you from keeping majority of your money. And it's not always about how much you make, but how much you keep and what you do with the money that you keep. So you're literally positioning yourself to have to overpay even more in taxes, when in all actuality, if you kept more of your tax dollars legally, you would be able to take that money and not have to worry about the debt that you're in, the low credit score, the retirement that you're not prepped for, because your tax dollars will be used to work in your favor. So you position yourself to make more money on the front end, it appears, but when you do the math on the taxes and that gets factored in, you actually rob yourself of the future wealth that tax dollar could have created, because now you have a higher tax bracket, and most of the time when you make more money, you find yourself with more expenses, because that's what most people do. They get a little more, so they accumulate more expenses. And this is what you have to understand above all. As it relates to, being in a higher tax bracket and having two jobs and making a certain amount of money throughout the year, when it's all said and done, was it worth it?
Exactly.
Was it all worth it? Because that high tax bracket position you to end up losing more than what you brought in. So most of the time people find themselves breaking even. Their second job is really putting them in a position that they end up breaking even versus making more. So you got to understand that. Do the math, do your calculations, see how much it's costing you to have a second job. In many cases, it's costing you money to have a second job. It just feels like you made more, because on the growth side, it looks as though you made a lot of money. So this is what people end up saying. I made too much money. They'll say, I made too much money. When they get in a high tax bracket and they get taxed more, the answer that they have is, I made too much money. Is there a such thing as making too much money?
Nope.
Ask yourself, is there somebody making more than what it is that you're making? If the answer to that question is yes, then are they making too much money? Would you like to make the amount of money that whoever it is making more money than you is making? I'm sure the answer to that is yes. Everybody wants to progress and do better. That's a part of life. We're meant to progress. That's success within itself, making progression. So it's no such thing as making too much money. The problem is most people don't have a strategy or understand how the tax laws work and how it can really benefit you. So your gross income of $68,000 from your full-time and your part-time job position you to be taxed even more, which left you with less. And was it all really worth it?
Exactly, you guys. Again, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie at all. We did do a video maybe about a year or so ago showing multiple examples. A person with a full-time job and a part-time job compared to a person with a full-time job and a part-time business. Okay, which is a huge difference. Okay, huge difference, and could save you money in all areas. Another thing that I want to touch on is the making too much money, all right? Because every time I hear that, I laugh hysterically, because I want y'all to really think about this. And I'm not trying to down anybody's situation. That's not what we're about. Mm-hmm. We're about financial empowerment, economic empowerment. But if you made, quote unquote, too much money, why are we still struggling? Why do you not have, even with two jobs, being away from your kids? Why is it that most Americans don't have a minimum of $1,000 in their bank account? Why is it that we don't have emergency funds, you guys? When we have emergencies, guess what we do? We panic. We stress out. Why is it that we are not leaving an inheritance for our children and our children's children? All right? Why are we scared of the stock market? I can go on and on. Why is our credit sucky? Okay? Yet we make too much money. Okay? So the next time you say that, I really want you to think about what you're saying. Is it really too much money? And what is it that you could possibly be doing wrong in order to still be behind and struggling financially? Okay, so what we're saying, you guys, is opposed to getting a second job, okay, opposed to being controlled, being told what to do, you really want to consider picking up a part-time business. Part-time business that you can work from anywhere, where now, instead of missing out on this time with your kids, you're with your kids, you're teaching your kids alongside teaching yourself, you're helping other people nationwide, worldwide, and you're getting paid for doing it. You don't have all of this mileage, you're not missing out, you're not increasing your expenses, and on top of that, you can qualify for thousands of dollars in tax savings. Okay, so we really want you to consider that. We're going to put the video below showing the example of a person with a full-time job and a part-time business opposed to a full-time job and a part-time job. Also, if you are open-minded, to starting a small part-time business, inboxes, comment below, let us know that's what you're interested in doing, and we are more than happy to shoot you a game plan on how you can get your finances in order as well as make money simultaneously.
Absolutely. Gotta love it. So 2 jobs are for 2 people. It's better to have a job and a part-time business than it is to have a job full-time and a part-time job on the side as well. Because what a job positions you to do, or a business positions you to do, once you understand the tax laws, which we know and teach and help people all across the nation understand, is that your $50,000 full-time job could also put you in a position to actually bring in closer to that $50,000 a year back into your pocket instead of just 32, which means that you get the same pay as a person who has 2 jobs, even though you only had that same one. So understand the power in that, understand the power of business ownership. The tax laws are not set up in the favor of those who work a job. So having a job is a blessing, but you want to use your job to set you up for financial success. A job itself would not do it, which means that you got to have another game plan outside of your job. And since the tax laws aren't set up to benefit those who have a job only, business owners get all the perks. Investors get all of the perks. So what you want to do is not only have a job, get business benefits as well as investor benefits, which allow you to keep more of your money instead of falling into the position of the person who gets taxed the most, which is a W-2 wage earning employee. So nothing against a person with a job, but just get on the right side of the column, which is being a business owner so you can be taxed less, and ultimately understanding how to invest that money so that money can grow so you can be taxed less legally, ethically, and morally. And more taxes being taken out or less taxes being taken out from you is more money into your pocket. More money into your pocket is more money to accumulate more assets, build more wealth, have more time for yourself, and stop trading time for money. Your time is worth way more than any dollar amount anybody can pay you per hour. But as a business owner with no salary cap, now you can position yourself for wealth. And that's what it's all about. Early retirement, building wealth, economic empowerment all across the nation. We've been helping people do it, and we're willing to help you as well. Reach out to us or somebody who shared this video with you, tagged you to this video, and say, hey, what business should I consider? What is it that you have? How can I learn these strategies? How can I get from being overtaxed to tax appropriately and use my tax dollars to build wealth, opposed to somebody else getting wealthy off me working for them and being overtaxed? So it's up to you. The choice is yours. Get with the person who shared this video with you. Tag this to this video. Get with us if you saw this directly through us, and we can assist you. You got anything else you want to give them, Queen?
No, one last thing. One last thing, because some people are seeing this and they're going to say, oh, well, I'm going to just wait till next year. We already we are already getting that excuse. And I say excuse because that's exactly what it is.
Talk to them.
You see this. Your heart is beating fast. You might even be teary-eyed looking at this because you did not understand why 2 jobs were not working for you. Yet what you are going to do is say, oh, I'll just wait till the new year. I'll just start fresh.
Start fresh.
I will start fresh January the 1st of 2018. If you don't start now, you won't start in January 2018. I guarantee it.
This is what you got to understand.
Stick with it either.
You got to understand the law of sowing and reaping.
There you go.
When you sow seeds, the harvest time comes in a totally different season. So if you don't start planting seeds in November, how do you expect to have a harvest in January? How do you expect to have a harvest in February, March, and beyond if you don't start planting seeds today? They say if you want something to happen now, you should have started on it 5 years ago. So what that means is you need to get started now. Don't lollygag, because I promise you, you are losing money by not connecting with us and working with us, or connecting with the person who tagged you or shared this video with you. You are losing money. Losing a lot of money that we can't even capture within this one video. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother training, a whole nother, compound of information. But you got to understand, you are losing money literally by not connecting with us or the people who shared this video with you. And lost opportunity cost is very expensive. So get with the people who shared this video with you, get with us so we can assist you in making better decisions and winning in this capitalistic society, and do what the wealthy do. They always say, if you can't beat them, join them. Well, we want to show you how to do what the wealthy people are already doing, and they set up the laws, so let's benefit from the laws that have been set up so we can all win financially.
All right, that's all we got. If it is your first time watching us, make sure you subscribe to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith business page. All right, our regular personal page is too packed out. It's maxed out on friends. Make sure you follow our Mr. and Mrs. Smith page. We'll also post that link in the comments. Make sure you subscribe so you get notifications every single time we go live, and we are going to bring you the education. That's all I got.
That's all I got, Queen. Mr. and Mrs. Smith
signing out.
Salute.